Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds. All right.
Party time. Great. Happy movie.
My girl likes to party all the time, as Edward Murphy said. Hello, everyone.
My name is David Bell.
My name is Tom Ryman.
And we just watched Possessor.
Possessor? I barely know her.
Oh! Fuck!
You have a very special nature. One we've worked hard together to unlock. Pull me out.
We're having a great time.
We're all the way in.
Yeah. We got the thing over our face and we're ready to stab somebody.
Mm-hmm.
This is
we're ready to murder somebody way more brutally than they need to be.
Yeah, way more brutally. This is a movie by I believe Brandon Cronenberg. We talked about it on Hypecast. It's available for rent right now for like $6.
Yep.
It is the son of David Cronenberg,
and
in his first movie
shows.
Yes, it is stars Mandy.
It does, yeah. Andrea Riseborough, I think is her name, something like that. Sean
Bean's in there.
Sean Bean. There's a Sutherland in there.
There is?
Yeah, her husband's a Sutherland.
No shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's about a woman who is it's like a fucking Nolan plot, Christopher Nolan. Although it's also like a Cronenberg plot.
It's more like a Cronenberg plot.
Yeah, it's about like a group of assassins, mainly this woman whose job is to get in this machine, and they knock out a person and they put a chip in their brain, and that enables her to take over a person, to possess them.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they do the assassinations is they simply have that person kill somebody else and then kill themselves.
Yes.
A nice, clean murder-suicide.
Yep. They're basically incepting people to commit murders for them.
Yeah. Tom, what did you think of this film?
Okay, this is... I wonder if this is going to be a controversial opinion. I mostly enjoyed this movie. I thought it looks incredible. It's a really interesting idea. It's extremely Cronenberg.
Yes.
So it's good that we got another one because, David Cronenberg's getting old.
Yeah. I'm glad there's a changing of the guard here.
All of that aside, I found long stretches of this movie very hard to pay attention to.
Oh, I could see that.
Yeah, and it could be, full disclosure, I slept for about an hour last night. And this is kind of, I wouldn't call this a slow burn, but it is it's about an hour and 45 minutes, and it's a real...
It opens with a lady stabbing a dude
stabbing a guy
times.
into the next world, man.
Yeah.
Holy shit, she stabs his ass completely off his body.
I wouldn't call it a slow burn. It's just a very simple story.
Yeah, it's very simple, and it's also extremely high concept.
Yeah.
And they do a lot of really visually cool things to show, because the basic plot is, in her current contract, she's supposed to take out Sean Bean and Sean Bean's daughter, so that Sean Bean's stepson will inherit this massive media data mining conglomerate that Sean Bean runs. But she gets stuck in the guy that she's possessing, and they are fighting each other for dominance of the body. Yeah. And they do some really visually very cool things to show that.
Oh, yeah. There's also the side story, how we introduce this character.
Mm-hmm.
Is she... I should look up her name. What's her handler's name? She had a really unique name.
Her handler's name is Girder.
Girder, yeah.
It's Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Yes, it sure is.
Yeah, she's making a killing lately. Like like we suddenly remembered that she was really good as a bad guy in Single White Female. So we're like, well, let's cast her as bad guys in a bunch of movies.
Yeah, you're right. It works really well.
Mm-hmm.
wait, that's not the character. Tasia.
Tasia is the main lady. That's Andrea Riseborough.
Yeah.
That's Mandy.
Yeah, Tasia Voss. Her so we see that
Cronenberg is shit name.
Oh yeah, it's too Cronenberg.
It's
yeah,
too
and Jennifer
Cronenberg.
Jason Leigh is basically her character in Annihilation.
Essentially, yeah, she's more playful.
Yeah, that's true.
Like she does more girlish things, meaning like a little girl. Whereas in Annihilation, she is just stone cold, like completely unemotional.
So we see this process where it opens with her doing like finishing a job, and it's clearly they didn't pay as much as the Sean Bean one because she just assumes a waitress. And then stabs the shit out of a guy.
Right.
And when she
can't stress enough, stabs his very ass off. Like it is.
and when she gets out, they're like, you could have just shot him.
Yeah, we gave you a gun, and
yeah. And so we realize this woman, there's something
she's breaking.
Already off.
Yeah, like
she's breaking.
They're demonstrating to us that they do this like sort of decompression or decontamination test where they show her a box full of items, some of which are her actual personal items and some of which are just control groups, essentially, like thrown in to like test her, and she has to identify what each one is in order to sort of get her back into her own mind.
And of course, a very important moment there, they show her a butterfly, and she says, "This was mine. I killed it as a little girl. I remember feeling bad about it.
And I still feel bad about it.
Yeah. So she has a family. She has a kid and a husband that don't see her much.
They're estranged.
I don't know. I don't know if they're... and so she goes to visit them, and you can tell she like wants it to work.
Right, but before she goes in, she's rehearsing what to say to them.
Yes.
Like she's finding it... It's clear she's finding it very, very hard to maintain her empathy.
Yes.
She has to rehearse her lines with her son and her husband. They show them having sex later, and she's just laying there staring off into the distance. Like,
and part of her job is she doesn't just possess their bodies. It's like Mystique, where you think about how you have to like act like the person.
No,
too.
yeah, they spend like several days studying the person, and she gets a bunch of information about them and watches them, and it's like an NFL coach watching game footage. Like she has to sit there and like rehearse how this person speaks and what their different relationships are. Yeah.
So, So then she visits the family, and then she's like, I got to do a job. She leaves. She possesses this guy, and I think this is where I would identify the film. You could argue would drag. I think it also, you might be a little sleep deprived. Like I remember watching The Departed when I hadn't slept and I accidentally fell asleep during it. And so like, and that movie rocks. So like,
yeah,
I think it's a combination because it does drag a little because they spend a little too much time. And
they spend a little too much time in his life, I feel like. But again,
I don't think it is too much time.
Take my comment on that with a grain of salt.
I do not think it's too much time.
Okay.
I just think it's where it slows down a little. Because what we're realizing, I mean, if we haven't realized it already, she's not the protagonist. She's not the good guy.
She's the protagonist, but she's not necessarily. She's not the good guy.
Yeah, you're right. She is the protagonist.
Yeah.
He's the antagonist.
Yes. He's pushing back against her. Yeah.
Yeah, and he also is the cause of her arc. But
yes.
It's clear that we don't know. We know that Sean Bean, his company is shitty. It's a shitty company.
It's a data. We see that this guy's job, who she's possessing, is to watch people's webcam footage that they're hacking into to identify the products they have in their home.
Right.
So that they can target them for, it's data mining. It's a data mining company. They sell this information.
But I think it does become clear that it's like, they don't deserve to be killed this brutally, especially the daughter. They don't really show her as an evil person.
No. And she even several times comments on the fact that her dad sucks.
Yeah. And so the idea is this guy, we get into the life because we start just learning about this guy. He's dating the daughter of the boss of the company. The boss gave him a job, like a shitty little job to like
the lowest level job in the company.
Yeah. And then he's like, they have like kind of an open relationship, and he's sleeping with the other friends. And so this is where it slows down a little because we're exploring their life a little bit and their relationship. But I get that it's the idea she has to put Mandy, I'm going to call her Mandy, has to stay with this guy for a little bit in order to make it seem like a smooth transition into him suiciding these people.
And I get that that's important to what the movie's ultimately about, is her losing her identity and her empathy as a human being.
Right. And the main guy she's possessing, we also don't know if he's a bad person.
We don't know anything about him, really. We know that we know he has a drug problem. That's all we know about him.
Yeah, and he seems like he might be kind of a douche, but I think the movie does a good job at like I found myself losing empathy for these people a little bit, where I'm like, come on, do the job, Mandy.
Yeah, do the job and get out. Like you're almost rooting for her.
And then you sort of remember, you're like, oh wait, they didn't do anything to deserve this.
No,
they're kind of jerks, but that's it.
She murdered the fuck out of these people.
Yeah.
For some scumbag stepson that just wants his inheritance early.
Well, in the ultimate twist, Sean Bean survives.
Doesn't die, yeah.
Yeah.
Even though
despite her best efforts,
fucks his ass up.
Yeah. So he has like a dinner party.
Yeah.
And she has to set up a motive at the dinner party. Mm-hmm. And so Sean Bean's already a dick to him. So she just pretends to get drunk and like accosts Sean Bean. And I think as he's getting dragged out, she shouts like, I'm a giant! I'm a giant! And it's like, that's perfect.
Yeah, she, as this guy, she's shouting, you can't step on me. I'm a fucking giant.
It's perfect because I think this is where you start gaining sympathy you realize she's not just killing these people, she's ruining their lives.
Yeah.
Like their legacies, their reputations. This guy will always be known as a murderer. Mm-hmm. Who flipped out over a dumb reason.
Yeah, a pathetic, grasping murderer who killed his fiance and his fiance's father and himself for because he felt emasculated by his status in the relation. Like it's like it's man, this guy is going to go down in history as like the worst piece of shit, and he didn't do any of this.
And he didn't do any of it. And so I think that's where again, it's very funny because like in real life, I would immediately have sympathy because it's real life where it's like, yeah, don't kill people. Mm-hmm. But when you start a movie, you're always kind of, when they introduce a protagonist, like I think of Inception, where they're like doing mind crimes immediately, and you're like, yeah, do those mind crimes. And you don't really know the context. Mm-mm. Like I'm pretty sure their partner gets murdered at the beginning, right?
The kid from Witness.
Yeah,
it sure seems like Ken Watanabe has him disappeared.
Him
yeah,
but then we're just like, yeah, go Leo, do it. Mind crime.
We never think about him again.
Nope. Or the morality of it, because and I almost think that's kind of a statement on this in this movie is like this. I was immediately like, just like, yeah, I'm on board. Yeah, mind crimes. Let's do it. Let's do some mind crimes. And then you realize how horrifying they are. And you're like,
it comes out like it once again, like in the beginning when she just massacres that dude.
Yeah.
They give her a pistol again, and they're just like, you just shoot them and then shoot yourself, and then we'll get you out. But instead, she grabs a fire poker and beats Sean Bean to a pulp and then stabs him in the mouth with it.
Yep, through the mouth. And you know what? Doesn't keep him down. And
he's too Sean Bean, yeah.
Yeah, he's too Sean Bean. They really Sean Bean him up too.
Yeah.
Is like, I believed it when he survived, because she comes in as the guy and like sets down the gun, and Sean Bean's just like, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, he's like, what? He says, what is this?
Yeah, he doesn't give a fuck. He's been mind crimed before or something.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a shit. And then, fire poker, fucking. And then this poor woman, the last thing she sees is her boyfriend stabbing her father in the mouth.
Having impaled her father's head with the fire poker.
And then she shoots at her. She gets away but bleeds out. And so
in that scene, Mandy, as this guy, shoots her twice in the shoulder and the back as she runs out of the kitchen, and then she's crawling down the hallway, and Mandy,
she's bleeding out.
She's bleeding out, and then Mandy shoots her in the head.
Yeah, they do a good job with you're not going to get far with that gunshot, even if it's in the shoulder.
No, I mean the other one was right in the center of her back.
Yeah, the other one's not good. The other one is
you're fucking
dumb. Very much not good.
Yeah.
And so that's this woman who didn't, as far as we know, didn't do anything.
And, all we've seen of her is be very concerned for her fiance, because she's like, she can tell something's wrong with him, and she gets upset that he's not telling her what's going on, and we know it's because it's not her fiance, it's some strange murder woman in his brain.
Yeah. He later describes her as a parasite, and you're like, yeah, you're right. Because the realization is he's going through a completely different horror movie.
Yeah. But what he says to Sutherland is kind of an interesting point, that's sort of like the ultimate point of the movie. Is he's like, when he's talking about the parasite, he's like, what happens if, your wife gets a worm and that worm gets in her brain and she starts doing things because of the worm, but you don't really know if it's her or the worm. Who did you marry? Did you marry her? Did you marry the worm?
Right.
And that's kind of the question of the movie, because we don't see her until she's so deteriorated that she has to rehearse her interactions with her family and is struggling to maintain human connection.
Yeah. And again, I enjoy Inception, but it does feel like he watched Inception. He saw Leo with his stupid mind elevator and stuff, and his hot wife fantasies and stuff, and was like, that's not rock bottom. I'll show you rock bottom.
Yeah.
That's what it's not. This isn't the same as Inception, but it just has the same feeling of mind crimes, weird tech plugging into people. But it's so much more real feeling and grittier feeling, because they're like, no, this is going to take a massive toll on you. And so this woman, basically, they establish it at the beginning. She goes to shoot herself and has to be killed by the police because she's having trouble killing the marks when she's possessing them.
Yeah.
She can't. She's losing control, like you said, where it's not that she doesn't want to, it's that the people she's possessing don't want to. And so, stabbing Sean Bean, killing, and then she has the same problem. She can't do it. And that's where it corrupts her. And this guy kind of starts getting back control of his brain.
Yeah.
And so he goes on the run, and he's just like, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And he's trying to figure it all out. And he goes to a mutual friend's house. And then another friend shows up and turns out to be another person who's been incepted, mind crimed. And that person helps him, is like, we're going to do a procedure. We're going to recalibrate your brain. And that's during that recalibration in a wonderful visuals.
Oh, yeah. This is one of the coolest segments of the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. The way the recalibration works is it's like shutting on and off.
Yeah.
And so every time it's on, it goes into her subconscious, which is like the same room but a different color, and then keeps shutting off in a pulse. And then as it's doing it, you can see the real guy slowly approaching in the background.
Yeah.
And then he gets on her and crushes her head and turns her into like a rubber mask, because it's all in the brain.
Yeah.
And fucking puts the mask over his face, and you realize, uh-oh.
Yeah. And then he starts going through her memories.
Yep. And
with
and
that
learns
mask
about,
on. Yeah.
Yeah. And learns about her family. The mask is what you see in the poster, of course.
Yeah. It's very Leatherface.
Yeah. And then we learn that she also shot the woman he came to the house of.
Yeah. Well,
so she's like,
while the guy was in control.
Oh, you're right. I thought doesn't it flash back and forth?
Not once he puts the mask on.
Okay.
And so we stick with him in the mask going through her memories, and then she comes to in the guy's body on the bed with blood all over her, and she has shot Eddie, the guy who came to recalibrate her.
Right.
And the implication is that happened while the guy was back in control of his own body. Because we see flashes of it.
Well, what about the woman in the shower? I thought she killed the woman in the shower.
I think she kills the woman in the shower, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was...
But that's before.
Okay, yeah.
That's before
But she figures it out.
Yeah.
He sees it later, right?
I think so.
Although we sort of see it before, too, as well.
I think so. It's a real mind fuck of a movie.
Yeah, it's a real Cronenberg film.
Yeah, it's real Cronenberg shit.
Yeah. Before we continue, I have you watched a lot of Cronenberg recently, David Cronenberg?
Mm-mm. Not recently.
I haven't either. I watched The Fly fairly recently. I need to talk to someone who's really knows Cronenberg because this isn't a hit. This is actually a good thing. This didn't feel like it was directed by David Cronenberg. It felt like it was a remake of a Cronenberg film, or I don't know, directed by the son of David Cronenberg. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't feel like the same filmmaker, but the visuals are very similar, and that's good. You know, I don't want Jacob Dylan trying to do Bob Dylan's voice. You know,
yeah, get that shit right on out of here.
Yeah, it felt like Brendan Cronenberg's his own film.
Yeah, and he's like what? He's like an artist, right? That's what he does most of the time, I think.
Oh man, probably.
Now I gotta look that shit up.
Yeah. I'm sure he's exhausting. All the Cronenbergs, I'm sure they're exhausting. Or maybe they're great people. I don't know. I don't know anything about the Cronenbergs' lives. But like, if they're anything like David Lynch, I wouldn't want to hang out with them for very long. It'd be like, oh man.
Okay, no, he's just a director and screenwriter.
Okay. But he did a great job.
The other Cronenberg is a photographer and director.
Got it. Yeah, he did a fantastic job, and I especially liked that. Again, I haven't watched a Cronenberg in a while, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people will be like, no, it's exactly like Cronenberg, but it didn't feel like a Cronenberg film from my memory. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I want to examine that more.
Yeah, I should go back and watch some shit.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's taken control of her, and he starts casing her life the way she did to him in his own body, and he like stalks her child. Acted real stranger danger at this kid. The dad calls the kid in, and for good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's wearing bloody sweatpants.
Is he?
Yeah. There's blood on his sweatpants.
Yeah, you don't want your kid talking to that guy.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, when do we see Sean Bean in the hospital? He looks so angry.
It's after. It's when the guy Eddie shows up at the apartment, stuns her and knocks her out, and then in between that shot and her waking up on the bed hooked to the recalibration machine, we get a glimpse of just angry Sean Bean in a wheelchair in the hospital
with an eye patch.
With an eye patch, yeah, because he got his eye beaten out of his skull.
Yeah, in those shots, we see him see her. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what that means.
I don't know what that means either.
One theory,
unless it's he knows what the deal is.
Yes, either he knows he's been mind crimed, or I was thinking maybe she did go finish the job.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's kind of again going back to the Inception thing, because they blue ball you, where like you start the film kind of because they show her casing and you assume you're watching the main character, and so yeah, you. Part of you wants her to succeed because that's the main character.
Yeah, and then she doesn't get what they want.
Yeah, she doesn't actually succeed either.
Nope,
I'm pretty sure. So it's like left very much in the air. So he goes to her family's apartment, breaks in, and starts freaking out on her husband. And that's when we get the parasite thing. He's talking about cat shit, and I think about that all the time. Believe me.
Yeah, because he doesn't quite understand what's happening. He knows that he keeps seeing this woman, like he knows he keeps seeing Mandy. He knows that she's doing something to him. He knows that he's not entirely in control.
Yeah,
but he doesn't quite have all the information, so he's like demanding to know where she is and like,
right?
Do you really know this woman who's your wife? Like, do you think of he keeps saying, do you think of her as a predator?
Yes, that was great.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to figure it out.
Yeah, he doesn't quite know what's happening.
Yeah. I love the
Oh, go ahead.
This was kind of an aside. I love when they have to calibrate, by the way, where they put the thing in their head and they like cry and smile and shit because they're like fucking with their brain.
Yep.
That was great.
Yeah, that was pretty grim.
Yeah. What a great fucking idea.
Yeah.
What were you saying? Virus, Mandy in the house.
I forget.
Okay. Well, basically, Mandy shows back up, and he's talking to her, and she's like, he says something like, "I'll kill him." You know, he's like, he knows she's in there.
Yeah, and then she starts fucking with him, and then this is ultimately kind of a question that we don't really necessarily know the answer to. He's like, "You made me do those things," and she's like, "No, I didn't. Like you did those things." And then you're kind of like, maybe he did. We don't really know.
We don't know how it works.
Yeah, we don't really know who was in control when that happened.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Yeah, I'll kill him." And she, what does she say? She says it's what I've always wanted or something.
Something. She basically calls him out. She's basically like, "I don't give a fuck."
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And then the husband attacks him. He gets the gun
He shoots
away
him.
from him.
Yeah, he shoots him.
Yeah, but then that didn't work out.
No, not at all.
He takes a knife and he really Cronenbergs that husband up.
Oh, Dave, you're being gentle by saying it's a knife.
Is it like a butcher?
It was a cleaver.
A cleaver, yeah. Cuts off his fingers. It's real gnarly.
And then just fucking hacks him into hamburger with it.
Yep.
It's just the third time in the film where he's just absolutely punishing someone.
Right. And just like the goddamn earlier things, the question of, we don't really know who that was.
Yeah.
Was it her? Was it him?
I think in that moment it's him, because they definitively show us a few times. Okay, so I'm going to maybe retract what I said earlier about we don't necessarily know who committed the murders in the house. Well, actually, maybe, no, that is still a good question.
There's some blurred lines.
There's some blurred lines, because when he shoots the woman in the shower, it flashes to Mandy. Mandy's standing there with the gun. So it's like, yes. Okay, she's in control. When he hacks the husband up, it's still him.
Right.
But as he's leaning against the kitchen island, he gets stabbed in the neck, and he just reflexively shoots, and it's revealed that he just shot her little boy, the kid.
That seemed like it was her. And then it is her.
It seemed like it was him right there, but then as he's standing there looking like a little gremlin, bleeding from a gunshot wound in the chest, it cuts back over, and it's Mandy again, and she angrily screams and shoots him like 4 more times.
She sure does.
Yep.
I mean, the first bullet will do it.
Yeah.
But like those others. Yeah, so yes, that's what happens is well, before that, she slices up the husband and then is like, "I'd like to, get me out. I want to get out." And tries to shoot herself again and still can't.
Yeah.
So that's interesting, because it means that like that guy that's in her still has the will to live.
Yeah. Yep.
And then someone stabs her in the neck, reflexively shoots. Turns out to be her little boy. They got an adorable kid for it.
Yeah, and then she finishes the murder.
Yep. And then, this was interesting. It's the kid standing there like a zombie having gotten shot, and you're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Then she murders them. The kid's lying on the ground. Their blood is like slowly touching, which was real pretty.
Uh-huh.
And the boy says, "Get me out."
Yeah.
As well. She wakes up finally, having died, back in her mind crime facility, and her boss,
it's Jennifer Jason Leigh. Yeah.
Yeah, is mind criming right next to her, implying that she was the child.
Yeah, she mind crimed her son in order to get her out. And that last image of their blood touching, it pans out. Their blood has formed the butterfly.
You're right.
Mm-hmm. Because when she gets the last shot of the movie is her going through her personal effects again to sort of like reorient herself, the decompressing or whatever. And she gets to the butterfly and she tells the same story. She's like, "I killed this when I was a kid and I mounted it." But then she doesn't say, "I felt bad about it and I still do."
Right.
Like,
because
That's it.
Yeah, that's it for her
It's
empathy.
the end of her empathy.
Yep.
And there was a through line in the film where like Jennifer Jason Leigh tells her that she's prepping her to be her replacement.
Yes, and that like she was like, "Why you still have this nagging thing with your family? You have to let go of it."
It's clear she wants to get rid of Mandy's family,
right? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why this has a 93 from critics and a 60 from audiences on Rotten Tomatoes. I think
maybe.
I'm pretty sure
it's a real downer of an ending.
It is, but it's the thing. We've talked about this about other movies like this, where it's such a piece of art that I don't feel bad because I feel like I'm looking at a painting.
Yeah, no, I didn't feel sad when the movie was over. I was just like, oh, damn.
Yeah, it's like, shit.
Yeah, well, fuck me.
They really went for it, didn't they? Because, and again, it's just a very interesting idea for how to tell a good old fashioned mind crime story. The mind crimes are taking this. They never really explain what's happening to her brain, but it could be as simple as, she kills people professionally. Like there might not even be anything going on with the device that zaps her empathy.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't. I never.
Probably psychological.
Yeah, I never suspected it was like the device specifically. I suspected it was she's killing people. Obviously, that's a part of it, but she's spending so much time existing as these other people,
right? That it's
erasing her own identity.
And it's also because there's something like when you're you haven't seen Bringing Out the Dead, right?
No.
That's a Scorsese movie based off a book written by an actual EMT in Hell's Kitchen. And the book and the movie are very similar. I've read the book, and it's kind of part of it's about the fact that when you spend your entire career watching people at the darkest of moments, these intimate, dark, horrifying moments, you either have to get a new job or learn to stop caring and learn to callous over the part of your brain, which isn't to say I'm sure doctors can have empathy, but there's still a certain mental separation that has to be done.
Yeah,
right?
You have to shut something off.
Yeah, anybody who's been to the hospital knows how kind of cold it is to be there. You're going through a crisis and everybody else is at work. And so she has to live in these bodies in a situation where you can't look away. Like if you're assassinating someone, normally you can look at them through a scope or poison their drink. There's so many ways to kill people.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Folks.
Fire poker,
meat
cleaver.
Yeah, you could build a trap door.
An elaborate trap door.
Paint cans.
Yeah, paint cans, sure.
Yeah, Home Alone style.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. But she has to, part of her job is she doesn't just have to kill these people. She has to be them.
Yeah. She has to exist as them.
And calibrate by feeling the emotions within them. I love that the first thing she does, by the way, she checks out his package.
Oh, yeah.
She turns into him and immediately is like, let's see what this dick is.
Let's see what this dick do.
Yep. I don't want to be surprised by that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's in a situation where she can either quit the job, lose her mind, or she has to shut off the part of her brain. And that's basically just all empathy in order to do that. So this is I think the idea is we follow her. We never see her not when she, the first assassination, she can't shoot herself. So we start with her in this place where she's not right.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's the last bit of humanity it feels like fighting back, right? It's the idea that it's not only that these people don't want to kill themselves, is that she also can't kill them. Her will is not stronger than them, or however this works.
Yeah.
I still don't know how it works. Which when you think about it, again, in a movie like Inception, You'd think that'd be a side effect. They have no empathy for the people whose dreams they're invading, even though they're in an extremely personal part of that person.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd think they'd have to be, lose their empathy in order to do mind crimes. That's why I really like that this explores that,
Yeah. No, I think this is a really good idea that was well executed for sure.
Yeah. Also, I watched this film twice now.
Yeah, that's true, because you watched it last weekend, right?
Yeah. And I'm surprised that it wasn't a movie that I was like, oh, I can't watch this a second time.
Yeah, no, this is a movie I could see watching again, yeah.
Yeah, because they deal with all the mind crimes and the psychology of it, but then they're like, here's a guy beating Sean Bean with a poker for a while. And you're like, oh, okay,
wailing
cool.
on his ass, yeah.
Yeah. It really is. We joked about how, the movie is just the quest to kill Sean Bean, and we didn't know the ultimate twist is that Sean Bean lives.
Yeah, he sure does. He gets fucked up, but...
Yeah, at the end, he's just like an old angry cat. It's great.
A half-blind cat.
Yeah, where you can tell they're 90 in cat years and they've been in a million
they
fights.
Don't care anymore.
Yeah, and it's just
pissing on all the furniture.
Anything you do to him just makes him stronger somehow. The fucking maniac Sean Bean.
Just a shitty old cat.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh fuck.
What do you think of Mandy?
I like her.
She's really she had a career before Mandy. She's been around since 2005. But it's funny is that how there's Jamie Lee Curtis, Scream Queen, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like that she's that for just really fucked up movies. Not like horror necessarily. But I feel like they're okay, so what you're going to do in this scene is see this guy comes out and he rips your face off and he wears it like a mask. She's like, I know what it's like to act with wearing a mask. Don't worry. Look, this isn't my first rodeo. Okay, so we're going to hang you upside down and you're going to be in this big swirling room and you're kind of underwater. I get it. You don't have to explain it to me.
Yeah, I know the score here.
Yeah. Yeah. She's just she's in every, all these filmmakers who are experimental film school type filmmakers. But yeah, I don't know. She's got a lot of movies coming up.
Yeah, for sure.
I hope one of them's normal.
I don't know. Where's the fun in that? But yeah.
She did The Grudge.
Yeah, she was in The Grudge. The
Yeah.
new Grudge, which wasn't great, but had a couple of really good scenes in it.
Apparently she's in Waco.
She is in Waco. Yeah, I just watched that recently.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I'm going to have to watch that.
It's not bad.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Sorry. Now I'm looking at Mr. Cronenberg, and he did a movie called Antiviral already.
Mm-hmm.
I think I said this was his first film, but it looks like it's not.
No, yeah, Antiviral was his first film. This is his second.
I have to go watch that shit. Yeah, he's in a lot of shorts. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have much else to say about this movie.
Yeah, not really. It's definitely worth watching, for sure.
If you like David Cronenberg, yes, watch this. If you're I get the people, if you're out there I want to watch a horror movie, I wouldn't. This is a horror movie in that it's horrific.
Yeah.
But it's, a Cronenberg film. So be prepared to be upset. It's a movie designed to be upsetting.
Yes.
If you are immune to that, if you put on the movie Begotten to go to sleep, then you'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't know why you would do that.
I don't know. I'm just saying, I want to make it very clear to people what kind of movie this is.
Yeah.
This isn't a movie you watch with friends.
No. This is one you're going to want to kind of watch on your own.
Yeah, I honestly didn't find, I say it's an upsetting movie, but like we said, I wasn't depressed because I think the movie did a very good job at presenting the realization of it's weird to say because a child dies, but there's a sense of justice in the film where when you realize she's not the good guy and then her life falls apart.
Yeah.
The injustice is the realization that she is beyond help at the end.
Yeah.
That is her arc. So like it's when you realize she's the bad guy, it's a little easier to swallow, but it's still pretty messed up.
Yeah, it's still a fucking wild ass movie. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, you're paying a ticket to a Cronenberg film.
Yeah. Anything with the name Cronenberg attached to it, you kind of know a little bit of what you're going to get.
It's going to be fucked up.
Yeah.
The most wholesome you'll get is like Gina Davis getting impregnated by a fly, you know?
Yep. Just
that's the most
birthing
wholesome.
a maggot in a nightmare scene.
Yeah, that's as wholesome as the Cronenberg family gets.
Yeah.
So,
which is pretty wholesome. Pretty wholesome. I'll say it.
You get a little baby. You get a little baby.
Little baby maggot.
A little baby maggot. A little baby. Oh man, it's not that much body horror. I would say it wasn't gross. It is
really.
body horror, but
there's
like,
a little bit, but not a lot.
Yeah, the first shot was definitely felt Cronenberg when the waitress that she's possessing sticks a needle in the top of her head, and it was like, Cronenberg. Hey there, hey now. That was actually the part I flinched the most at. Not the slaughtering of a child. Is that needle?
Yeah, I get it. Fuck that kid.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I liked the kid. He was. Oh yeah, that they did a thing when he has the robot at the beginning, and he's like, "Look, I can make it dance."
Yep.
And it's like, "Oh, Possessor!"
And then he gets shot to death.
Symbolism. You're gonna be the robot later, child.
The tables will turn, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. All right. Fuck it. Yeah, people check it out. I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, and if you need to see more children get murdered, watch The Good Son.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See Macaulay Culkin gets splattered on.
Yeah, he gets dropped off a mountain.
That movie's brutal.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah. To do a double feature, Possessor and The Good Son.
Do a double feature.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I think that's enough. Dave, why don't you tell them what we got going on?
Yeah, we got a Patreon. Patreon.com/Gamefully Unemployed. We have exclusive podcasts there like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman and Fox Mulder is a Maniac.
This is all correct.
We have tiers where you can watch movies with us every Friday night. We tend to not watch Cronenberg films.
We haven't yet, I don't think.
I think we try to be diplomatic in the movies we watch.
Right.
Which isn't to say we don't watch really gory shit.
Mm-hmm.
But we try. The key word there is try.
Yeah. It's all fine. We also have a store, tpublic.com/store/gamefullyunemployed. You get t-shirts, masks, mugs, stickers, posters, all kinds of stuff. Check that out.
Honestly, we don't have this ability, but if you need somebody to do a mind crime for you, I'm not against it.
Yeah.
Like I do a mind crime.
Listen,
would you do a mind crime, Tom?
If the price was right, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd mind crime the shit out of someone.
Man, I assume she's making money. What if she's making like minimum wage to do mind crimes?
I assume it's a lot.
Yeah, but these days, like I bet there's a lot of like intern mind crimers and like, you know what I mean? Where it's like, we're paying you a mind crime experience.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, if we're paying you an exposure.
They're calling TaskRabbit, being like, we need you to do a mind crime for us. We need you to jump in Sean Bean's like son-in-law.
I think
real quick.
Murder for hire is always going to be kind of expensive because there's a level of discretion that you're paying for.
Sure.
But I mean, also TaskRabbit.
I like a task where they're like, we'll pay you $8 an hour. You got to do this mind crime.
Sure, I'll stretch this thing out, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right.